Hi, and welcome to Bacon and Eggs.
I'm still Ethan Etchill.
And I am still Tyler Carlin.
This is our weekly podcast where we talk about some of our favorite movies.
And anything else on our minds.
Thank you for tuning into this week for a brand new episode.
Or 30 seconds after the last one finished, we do not judge here.
If this is your first time joining us, we recommend you take a listen to any of our first 8 episodes.
And we'll tell you a little bit about who we are.
And what we do.
And what this podcast means to us. It's everything.
It will also give you great background on what you're about to hear.
Regardless, welcome. We're so glad you've joined us today.
We make absolutely no promises as to how long this intro will stick around.
So buckle up because we're going to dive right in.
Without further ado, Tyler, what did you think of Mona Lisa's Smile?
What? I don't know what that is.
It's a movie.
I didn't watch it, but you know what? I just finished watching.
What did you just finish watching?
Not even half an hour.
See if we can pull something together.
Yeah. Have you seen this one? Thor: The Dark World.
Oh, I did. I did see that one. We're good. We're good. Ooh.
You know, I won't lie to you. I first saw this movie and last saw this movie prior to today in the theaters with a good friend of mine from college named Hunter. And that is the only nostalgia I have about this movie. I literally did not remember a single scene in the entire thing.
Well, I believe I've mentioned this a couple times on this podcast. I have never seen this movie until today.
Really?
Really, I'd never watched Thor: The Dark World.
I actually knew that. I don't know why I'm so surprised. So you'd never seen it.
Not once.
Give me a 1 out of 10 before we even start. I don't want to know any explanation. I just want a 1 out of 10. Yep.
Like a 5.
I don't even want to like a 5. I need a hard.
Okay, it's a
commitment.
hard 5.
It's a hard 5.
Yeah.
Disagreed.
Okay, great. Let's get into it then.
Totally disagreed. I'm looking at like a 6.7 here.
That's generous.
It's generous.
It's
but
generous.
Not without reason.
Okay, well, we'll talk about
Not
it.
without reason.
First of all, when did this movie come out? Because I don't remember because I never saw it.
This movie came out November 18th, 2013, so you were probably studying for exams, something Hunter and I famously did not do.
Yeah, no, we did not have exams that early in the year. That's at all.
No?
No.
I mean, midterms.
That was earlier.
Maybe Hunter and I were seeing this a few weeks after it came out.
It's possible, but when it came out, I was probably busy. It's a Thursday night. I was doing something.
That was 1,450 days ago, as of this recording, which is a while. I'm excited for when they're less than 1,000 days.
We're getting there. We're coming close.
We're
We started out at
closer every day.
like 3,000 something.
Yeah. Closer every day. This is like right in the middle, too, of how many movies there are right now. This is what, 8?
7.
I think it's 8.
It's not. It's 7.
I'm like 100%
it's 8.
sure
Right.
it's 8.
You're right.
Yep. 8 out of 16, so we're right in the middle of it.
Yeah, you're right. This is 8. Here's 8.
Yeah.
I was confused.
This is the 9th episode of
Yes,
Bacon and Eggs.
That's because I was confused.
Yeah. This movie had a short budget for a Marvel film at only $170 million.
Oh, yeah. Chump change.
Chump change, I'd tell you. Small loan.
It didn't do that well, though.
Made money. Made a lot of money.
It did, but like comparatively, it did all right. It made $660 million, which is half as much as Iron Man 3.
But is $250 million more than Wonder Woman made. And that was the movie of the summer this year.
After the Avengers came out, these movies started making more money, and this is half as much as Iron Man 3.
That's true.
Which came out the same year.
I'll give you that. Came out like a month or so earlier. What do you know about the days of the week?
Oh, it's Thursday when
It's
you're listening.
Thursday!
You're listening, it's Thursday.
If you're listening to this at release.
But when we're recording it, it's Election Day. So congratulations to everybody who won, maybe. I don't know. You fought hard. Good for you guys.
You fought hard. You wrote some really rude ads that I had to listen to in between Christmas music on my way to work every day to my day job.
All I know, the only ad I have seen, because I don't really watch television or listen to the radio at all.
Look at you. You're just a touch above the rest of us. You're just a god descended. You transcended traditional media. You must feel so great.
No, I just listen to podcasts, and those aren't sponsored by politicians generally.
Twitter is my life. You can follow me on Twitter at AmeriCarlin for updates on literally nothing political ever. But the rest of my life, I will talk about.
He's currently listed as Festivity, so you can find him. And I am listed as Ethan Sledhills.
Because your name's Ethan Edgehill.
Thank you, Victor Jarvis, for that name suggestion.
Victor Jarvis, like from Iron Man?
No. The Victor Jarvis, a guy I know.
Oh, he's just some guy?
He's just some guy.
Anyway, this movie, 66% according to critics on Rotten Tomatoes.
That's terrible.
It's not good. It's not good.
Yeah. That's the worst so far.
It's poor showing. Worse than The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
Much easier to watch, I think.
Better than the Beatles ever.
Better than the Beatles ever. We're looking at a 77% audience rating.
I think that's really interesting, though, because it's the first movie in the MCU we've come across that has a big disparity there.
Yeah, and the audience likes it a lot better.
Yeah, which generally the critic has been higher. Like, slightly higher.
Right. And now here we go with some numbers. 54 out of 100. That is some your world's greatest engineers kind of score right there.
Yeah.
You're getting a curve on that one.
Yeah, no, that's bad.
It's bad.
Bad news bears.
It's bad. Super bad news bears. By the by, Ethan, have you ever talked to a friend of yours who went to engineering school?
I have. We have a close friend that went to engineering school.
Does it not, like, engineering friends, doctor friends, does it not, like, bother you to no end that they get curves on their tests and those are the people building our bridges?
No, not really.
Okay.
Because it's just like, I think their tests, and at least the schools they went to, were a lot different in, like, the professors just kind of made up whatever kind of questions they wanted, and the curve was given because, like, the questions were just ridiculous.
I don't know, man. I think that, like, you need to be able to solve the most ridiculous questions if you're going to be in charge of building bridges.
I mean, maybe, but our engineer friend also doesn't build bridges.
No.
He wasn't that kind of engineer.
No, he wasn't.
Anyway, we're already down a rabbit hole.
Already down. I mean, the movie, I won't lie to you, Ethan. I really like this movie. I remember liking it when I saw it, and I had a lot of fun watching it this time around.
My immediate thought is that and I said this to you earlier, it's a movie that takes a long time to get going, and when it gets there, it's pretty cool. I'll give it that. Like, it had its moments. It definitely had its moments.
It is definitely very cool. Like, this movie, I don't think Marvel execs sat down. Like, Captain America and Iron Man as characters have a lot of involvement with each other because they're both on Earth and they're both like these headbutting type characters. And Thor, they were like, let's greenlight Thor for a trilogy.
Yeah.
And he doesn't live on Earth, you know? So he doesn't get as much time to interact with all these characters.
He lives in Asgard.
Right, he lives in Asgard, and like his first movie was pretty good. I thought it was pretty whimsical. A good time.
This was not whimsical.
This was not whimsical.
There was no whimsy whatsoever.
This was like Lord of the Rings Return of the King meets Star Wars set in the Dark Knight universe.
I feel like what I'm getting out of this is that, like, after the Avengers, I think Kevin Feige, however you pronounce his name.
Feige? I don't know.
Just feel like he sat down after he did the Avengers and was just like, dang, there was everything I ever worked towards just done. I have no idea what to do now because Iron Man 3 was really depressing. This one's really depressing. I can't say I remember that much about Winter Soldier, but we'll find out.
You know, it's crazy. It's like, and Thor has like no remorse whatsoever about New York. He's like, yeah, it was just another battle. Had to fight Loki. It sucked. Yeah.
Well, because he's been doing that his whole life. Like, that was no different for him.
Right. That was just a thing. And he's like a warrior, like the god of thunder.
Right, exactly. So he has no kind of issues with it. But then we get Winter Soldier, and we get, after that, Guardians of the Galaxy. Which I think Kevin Feige called up James Gunn and was like, James, I need help.
Everything's so sad.
Everything in my life is really sad right now. And James Gunn's like, I got you. Ooga chaka, ooga, ooga.
Right. Let's step back in that.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, what it is, it's like comics right now, and I'm just going to jump forward just a bit. Comics right now are definitely taking a step in the sort of comic strip direction.
Yeah.
In that they're whimsical, they're funny, they're easy to watch, but they've still got these growing, developing characters. And I think when this is all said and done and we're able to look at it sort of from a zoomed out point of view, we'll see sort of like origin story and then let's get serious and then why so serious?
I think it's just even simpler than that. It's like I did not notice until I'm watching these through in order a second time, like the marked effect that Guardians of the Galaxy had on this series.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because no, it's not my favorite Marvel movie by any means. But it has changed the way they have approached these movies.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
Because the ones in recent years have been this much more upbeat kind of thing.
Right, they're letting superheroes be superheroes.
Right, instead of brooding all the time.
Right, and you gotta also remember, and I don't know the dates, and I'm probably gonna mess this up, but you have to, everyone was like, well, can you make a movie better than The Dark Knight?
Right, exactly.
I'm just gonna Google because I'm not sure. That was 2008.
Yeah.
So that was, wow, that was 2008.
Dark Knight Rises was 2012, I think. 2011, 2012. But Dark Knight came out the same year as Iron Man.
Dark Knight Rises was 2012. So, yeah, Dark Knight Rises was super freaking dark. And, you got to think these guys are trying to compete with that.
Right. Arguably the biggest superhero franchise ever.
And honestly, this movie actually, if you look at it and you're going to compare it to its DC counterpart, I think they're building you up to think that Thor is like the Superman of this universe, that he's just this ungodly strong.
Well, he's not.
And no, he's not.
No, we get Superman later.
Who do you think Superman is?
Stephen Strange.
Oh, I don't think Stephen Strange is Superman.
Oh, I do.
No, Stephen Strange is like Marvin Martian. Not Marvin Martian. John, the Martian guy. No, Stephen Strange, no. I disagree. Superman is Vision.
No, yeah. I think Doctor Strange could beat Vision.
I think Doctor Strange could beat Vision, but I don't think I think if you're looking like toe to toe, who has more similar powers? I think Vision has more similar powers.
I could agree with that.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about in the sense of like being overpowered to the point where he has to be stopped.
Right.
But we are off track in a way that can't even happen. Like,
all I'm saying is I thought this movie was very mirrored to the first Superman film. What's it called?
Man of Steel.
Man of Steel. I thought those were very similar. Do you agree?
I could see that. I could see that. I could definitely see
you get
that.
A really, really dark take on like an ultra powerful hero because
and you definitely see Thor being completely unbeatable in this one. Thor does not struggle at any point in this movie.
You're right.
Not whatsoever. He just marks people left and right. And that was the one thing I wasn't crazy about with this movie is that he is just
he doesn't seem to ever get hurt. He seems like he can be moved. Yeah. Like he's not an unstoppable force because at the end he's got that battle with I don't know, the Ninth Doctor's buddy who ate whatever makes you super strong.
Crystal or whatever.
Right. There's a joke somewhere to be made about that. And he has a fight with him and, he gets like knocked through rocks and stuff and has stuff falling on him. But he never seems to be like bruised or pushed back or anything, Ethan, what does your fortune cookie say this week?
My fortune cookie from Panda Express, because I get Panda Express before we record. For some reason, I just started it and now I can't stop. This episode is not brought to you by Panda Express, but it could be. If you're listening. My fortune cookie says, a wish will be granted after a long delay.
You know what that means? That
somebody's out there looking after me and going to grant my wish.
Early reviews for Justice League don't suck.
Do they really?
Yeah.
I have not been keeping up with that.
I Googled it today, and I found some early reviews for test screenings. They don't even have critics coming out yet, so it's just test screenings. It's apparently funny.
Really?
Yep.
I could see that.
You told me I'm not allowed to talk about Wonder Woman, but Wonder Woman was a little bit whimsical. So I think it'll trend in that direction because that's the only one that succeeded so far.
Did Batman vs. Superman not do well?
It made some money, not even as much as this movie. But it made money, like millions of dollars. But no, it was not good.
Fair enough. I mean, I liked it, but I don't know if I should tell people that.
I think like the general consensus in the community is that it was not good. I will say this, I am not going to pick a side between DC and Marvel. I will watch whoever makes good movies.
Yeah, same. Absolutely.
And neither one exclusively. I will, I like superheroes.
Me too. I'm going to keep watching these movies. Speaking of watching these movies, Tyler, how did you watch this movie?
I rented it on my Xbox for $3.99. How did you watch it?
I watched it on .net.
What?
My first note about this movie is, thank God this one is short.
Is it? Yeah, it's like 10 minutes shorter, isn't it?
It's considerably shorter than most of the rest, like 20 minutes.
20 minutes?
Yeah, they've all been about like 2 hours, 10, 15 minutes. This one is like an hour and 50 minutes. I was not upset. I'm not saying it was bad, I'm just saying like it was a refreshing turn of events.
And it starts with narration from our good pal Odin's son.
Yeah, this narration is really weird. You know why? Because he directly... Because
it doesn't come back?
Right, well, it doesn't come back to him. Like, he does the narration, he talks about, like, my father, Borg, or whatever his name was, and then he's not talking to anybody.
Oh, what do you mean? Like, it just...
Like, it comes back to, like, Odin, and in the previous movie, he was talking to, like, baby Loki and baby Thor, and this one, he's not telling a story to anyone.
He's just telling the story to the audience?
I guess
like,
so,
just
yeah.
Straight up...
super weird.
Exposition.
Yeah. But it was like, it wasn't like narration exposition. It was like named, like, this is my story.
Did you notice? So then we get introduced to Malekith.
Yeah. He wants to turn the world to darkness.
Yeah, after we've seen like lots of extremely in-depth Norse mythology, but the Marvel version, but kind of a little bit more serious than the Marvel version.
This one very much sat in the mythology a lot more than the rest of them.
Yeah, I mean, I think give the people what they want. If you're going to do a movie about Thor, you want to...
No, I'm not complaining. I'm saying, like, it's a good thing. It's just something I noticed.
I will say, Malekith, played by our boy Chris Eccleston, I didn't see him bring a banana to a single party in this entire movie.
Bananas.
No bananas at no party. I thought it was very... I was like, oh, fantastic casting. Yeah. But outside of that...
And it was interesting that you could still tell it was Chris Eccleston, even with, like, the distorted voice. Like, just no one sounds like that except him.
Well, and his face looks like that.
Yeah, no, but I mean, even if I was just listening to him, and, like, it was deepened and distorted, I could still tell you, like, that's Chris Eccleston.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he has his own accent.
And to be fair, I've probably seen Chris Eccleston in more things. I know he was in one of the G.I. Joe films. But I know Chris Eccleston from Doctor Who.
Yes.
That's...
Well, and it's similar to, like, later movies. Like, I'll be able to tell you for the rest of my life whether or not somebody speaking is Benedict Cumberbatch trying to have an American accent. No one else in the whole world sounds like that. Like, Benedict Cumberbatch is very good at a lot of things. That is not one
American
of them.
Accent is not one of them.
Horrendous. But yeah, just something I noticed that, like, he started talking, and again, because I watched this on a sketchy website, I did not have subtitles, again, for the second time. This is becoming a problem now.
I don't even understand how you didn't have subtitles. They weren't, like, added in. Like, I didn't, like, go put in the ancient text subtitles.
They just weren't there.
They just are part of the movie.
There's that whole scene where Malekith is talking to the guy, and I'm just like, yeah, ooga booga to you too, buddy. I had no idea what he was talking about.
That language is none of the proper nouns sounded like proper nouns in that other language. Like, you know how when somebody's speaking Spanish super fast at you, or normal speed Spanish for you bilingual folks,
you can still tell when he says Enrique or like London,
or when they drop in like Hard Rock Cafe. You know, it's like, oh yeah, that part I know. Yeah, I know that one. I know he said something about Va to the Hard Rock Cafe. You didn't get that with this language. Asgard, all was in a foreign tongue.
I don't think they're speaking Asgardian.
No, I know. Like when they said Asgardian or Asgard.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
I guess you wouldn't know what they said.
Yeah, no, I have no idea. I have no idea that any time that they were talking in Dark Elf or whatever language, I couldn't understand.
The Dark Elves. How would you spell the word ether?
Do you want my actual answer because I looked up how to spell it, or
what would you have thought it was?
E-T-H-E-R. Like
exactly.
Like any other piece of science fiction or fantasy ever.
That has the word ether in it?
This is A-E-T-H-E-R.
Ether.
Yeah, which is pronounced ether, but they don't say it like that.
No, they say ether the whole movie.
Yes.
The ether
Neil Gaiman would have pronounced it like that.
Ether?
Yeah, I would guarantee it. I'd bet dollars to cents.
Is that not... I've not read all of Norse mythology or listened to
this story is not in that book.
Interesting.
Yes.
I guess this story, Jane Foster, not a real person in Norse mythology. She's a pretty big part of this story. So
the Dark Elves, in fact, I believe in Norse mythology, actual Norse mythology, are dwarves.
Interesting.
Yes, I believe in Svartalfheim. They are the dwarves, and they build things. And they choose to live in the dark.
The Dwemer?
Yeah, the Dwemer. Well, technically these guys are the Falmer, if we're categorizing them to Skyrim.
I do love me some Skyrim.
Yes, these guys are the Falmer, which are the Dwemer that were then made into this, like, blind race that lives in the dark.
Well, these guys have Nido masks. What do you think of their little
terrifying.
Costumes?
They're like something out of Nightmares.
Yeah,
I think they're supposed to look like Malekith, but they look like distorted child's doll's version of Jason Voorhees.
I like them.
Oh,
Jason Voorhees.
Like Jason, like Friday the 13th.
Oh, that Jason.
Yes, that Jason.
I like him. I like the little costumes they got on them.
We don't get a lot. Not saying I didn't like them. I'm just saying they are the stuff of nightmares.
They are the stuff of nightmares. And then I didn't. They carried guns. Like even like the ancient army versions of them, they carried guns. They didn't just have like their arms were made of blasters. Like they carried.
Again, they're the dwarves. They're the builders. They're like
they have laser guns.
Right, but
dwarves build.
No, but they're like the smarter ones than everybody else when it comes to building something. They're always on the forefront of technology.
Right, but when I think dwarves, I think like steampunk.
Yeah, that's Skyrim for you though. Like.
Well, that was also in, like, Lord of the Rings, wasn't it? The dwarves built, like, things with gears and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's...
I'm just saying that that's not the case here.
Well, clearly, because they've got guns with lasers.
Yeah, so did the Chitauri.
The Chitauri had guns with lasers, but they were from a modern time, not ancient wars.
So did Hydra.
Hydra was fighting in a war that had guns.
I'm just saying, like, they have guns.
This is ancient guns. These are the oldest guns.
The Asgardians have guns too.
No, yeah, they have swords.
No, they don't. They have guns and like ships and stuff, like flying.
Oh, they do have the gunships.
Like boats. They're like long boats that fly and shoot people.
Yeah, like Kid Icarus. I think if that's totally off the mark, then
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Run me over with your car.
Anyway, so we get a big battle scene. Isildur, same kind of battle scene as the first movie.
Yeah, we get another intro to Lord of the Rings.
And they talk about how the ether is buried and not destroyed.
And the ether is awesome. It's very coolly animated.
Yeah, it's like blood.
Have you seen Spider-Man 3?
Yeah, but better.
But way better. There's like, no Topher Grace.
It's like
that's about
congealed flying blood.
Yeah, it's cool. You can't knock this movie for the way that it looks.
No, it's a beautiful movie. Beautifully shot, beautifully filmed. Very
shot.
Dark.
Very dark. But, I mean, there's going to be some dark films out there, Ethan. Not every movie can be that Matthew McConaughey movie.
What?
Sahara. What's it called?
Oh, yeah, the entire color palette was orange.
Yeah, where they used the solar panels to, like, build a giant laser.
Sahara.
Not every movie's going to be like that.
Yeah, well, this one is like straight up just gray. It might as well have been in black and white.
Yeah, it was real dark. Real dark.
Yeah. Thor Noir. That's what we're going to call this.
Thor Noir. Or Thor the Dark World.
Hey, listen.
It's a very dark movie.
Listen.
Dark movie, dark characters, dark world.
So we get it's a big flashback scene. Like I said, Odin's narrating to no one. And we get like a continuation of the Avengers, and Loki is led back into Asgard in chains.
And it's super intense. That's about all I got.
Yeah, Loki yells at Odin and is like, ruling is my birthright. And Odin's like, your birthright is to die. You're a freaking frost giant.
Yeah. There's some crazy intense stuff. That's your adopted father telling you
and
that.
And his adopted father sends him to exile in the dungeons forever.
Well, for like an hour of movie.
Well, yeah, but like it's supposed to be forever. Until Thor needs him. Thor, meanwhile, is on Vanaheim, which I was so disappointed to find out.
Ethan has been saying this wrong forever.
It was never written, and it was barely said, and so I thought it was Anaheim. And I'm sticking with Anaheim. Black Widow is still from Anaheim.
Black Widow is from Anaheim?
But she is definitely not from Vanaheim, because everybody from Vanaheim is Asian.
Right.
That is where we find out that is where Hogun is from, who is one of the Warriors 3.
And that is why he is Asian.
Yes, that is why he is Asian. Now we know.
And we, in Vanaheim, there is the introduction of what might be Korg's dad.
Korg's dad. But we get a new actor playing the fancy French guy to start with.
It was a new actor?
Yes, it was Chuck.
Chuck? Who's...
Like from Chuck.
Wait.
Like the show.
Oh. I thought you meant like Chuck Bass. And
no.
I was like, nope,
it's Zachary
not
Levi,
that dude.
Who is Chuck
Zachary
on the show
Levi.
Chuck.
Interesting. Yep. Isn't he like a dork in the show Chuck?
He is. Yeah,
I don't like that they got a new guy. I like the old guy.
Well, I don't think that the old guy wanted to do it anymore.
I want Terrence Howard playing him.
It took me a second. I'll be honest.
You're like, why would Terrence Howard be in this movie?
Yeah, we get a big rock guy, and he is just super intimidating and has this weapon and everything, and Thor straight up just like Indiana Jones is this guy.
No, we get like a David and Goliath moment. The problem with it being a David and Goliath moment is like this big monster man standing in front of Thor. That happens a few times, come to think of it. And Thor's like, I will defeat you. I will destroy you. And it's like we know Thor's going to win, but they don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
then he hits him with the sling and knocks him out in one blow. And it's like, okay, but the point is that David was like a child and Goliath was gargantuan.
Oh,
but
no,
Thor...
not the point at all.
What?
You should watch, there's a really great, I'm actually going to link it in the description. There's a really great TED Talk on this by Malcolm Gladwell about how Goliath didn't stand a freaking chance.
Huh.
Yeah, that David was by far the superior fighter.
Just like Thor here?
Yeah, and that apparently Goliath was basically just he was the warrior because he was bigger than everybody else, but he had some kind of disease was the theory that made him bigger than everybody else, but weak. Yeah.
Interesting.
So I'm going to link that in the description. You should go watch it. It's 14 minutes, and it's fascinating.
Fascinating stuff. Yep. TED Talks. Supposed to make you smarter until you're about a junior in college, and then you will look down upon them because you're a jerk.
I still watch them all the time.
Do you really? I doth
not,
but not because I look down upon them.
I used to watch them to go to sleep.
I used to listen to them to go to sleep. The TED Talk Radio Hour.
I would just play the videos and close my eyes.
But now what you can listen to go to sleep is Ethan and I's super soothing voices.
I listen to Bob Ross.
My brother does that.
Yeah, I watch Bob Ross videos. They are super relaxing.
I typically just fall asleep because I'm exhausted because I do so many things.
I have trouble falling asleep when I'm alone. Couldn't tell you why.
Anyway.
So yeah, Vanaheim is pronounced Vanaheim, and I'm sad about it.
That's that. And Korg's dad gets straight wrecked.
Like Indiana Jones wrecked.
Those rocks are tumbling right off.
Yeah. Although I guess you don't know what I'm talking about because you've never seen Indiana Jones.
I'm aware of the scene.
You know the scene with the guy with the sword and the and then he just shoots him in the face?
Yeah, I know. What? I'm not some idiot.
I mean, you've never seen Indiana Jones, so that argument can be made.
I mean, maybe. Sorry, Dad. No.
Wow.
This movie, Loki, is more serious than Thor is in following movies, and Loki's character is literally the trickster god. He is literally supposed to be funny and deceptive.
Yeah, they never quite got a lighthearted Loki.
Yeah, even in films to come, we don't get a lighthearted Loki.
No.
But, that's Tom Hiddleston's approach, and that's his thing. They could have gotten Jim Carrey to play Loki, but they didn't, and that's that. Alrighty then.
That would have been hysterical. I want a recut of of the Avengers with Jim Carrey as Loki.
It would have been great, but he did the Riddler, and he was awful. He was just terrible.
Whoa. Whoa. Slow your roll here. Hold on a second.
What's the Riddler's real name?
Edward Nygma.
Enigma. Yep, that's what it is. God, what a stupid.
We do not disparage Jim Carrey's performance of the Riddler in this household. I will turn this podcast around, sir. You hang on. We're gonna watch this movie now. We're gonna review Batman Forever because you need to be educated.
We're gonna pause this movie and review Batman Forever instead
in a future episode.
So Batman Forever, first scene,
Sunday brunch.
We get a not a bad idea.
We get a scene with Thor back in Asgard, and this is what I'm talking about, like, just with small indications that they're bringing in more of the mythology, because we get Odin talking to a raven.
Ooh, I missed that.
Right when they come back, they're doing something in the courtyard, having some kind of fight, and Odin's talking to either Hugin or Munin, one of his ravens.
Hugin or Munin. Educate me more.
Those are his ravens. They are his messengers.
Where do they message to?
Anybody that needs messaging. Generally on Midgard.
Huh. Yeah. I noticed they spend a lot of time on Midgard. Do you think that's because the people writing this mythology lived on Midgard?
Yes.
Interesting.
I think selfish. That probably the people of Vanaheim have a different view of the Norse gods.
You think so?
Probably. But Odin tells Thor that it's time for him to take the throne, and Thor is like, is it though?
Is it really time for me? I don't want to be Mr. King, man.
Yeah, he wants to go hunt down Jane Foster. And Odin is like, no, you probably shouldn't do that. And Sif is like, hey, you should come be with me instead. She's clearly interested in him, and she's like, Thor, you should probably focus on more than one realm. And Thor's like, bet.
You know, I don't like this lonely Thor scene where they've got like all his buddies are doing the drinking.
And he's dressed in like black, like he's mourning something.
Right. Like something bad happened, but really all that happened was like you went to Earth and saved it, and now you're back.
And then you went to Vanaheim and saved it, and all the other realms.
Right. You literally saved all the realms, and there's no reason why you can't go see Jane Foster.
Yeah, he just doesn't.
Right. Because
and we get that later on. Get that later on. She's like, where were you? She slaps him in the face and goes, where were you? And he's like, I was super busy. And she goes, you were on television in New York.
Right. Did you notice the Bifrost just put back together?
Yeah, I mean, I guess they rebuilt it. Yeah. Heimdall's entire job, so he probably wasn't too...
His job is to watch.
Yeah, but he was probably like, I can do this.
All right, I got this. Give me a few minutes. Yeah. I will reconstruct. Although Thor, he's the man with the hammer, and there is a hammer and nail moment in this movie. I thought that was a cool little nod.
Wait, is there?
To the fact that, the little stakes.
Oh, is that what happened? I didn't quite catch that, and I didn't feel like watching it a second time. I
actually was like, is this going to be a hammer and nail moment? And then I was like, you know what? It was kind of bright on the screen when it happened. So I'm going to chalk it up to that.
I think my note is probably something like, and they did something.
Yeah.
And, speaking of Jane Foster, Jane is on a date with, and she's not on a super happy date, but she is on a date with Roy from the IT crowd.
Dude's hilarious. Dude could be in every movie.
Chris O'Dowd, just like,
Chris O'Dowd.
His acting was great in this. He just is like, I'll just sit here and say, "See Barcelona."
Yeah, I thought that was a very interesting piece of scripting. Not him saying that, but her just being like, "Seabass, Seabass, Seabass, Seabass."
She's just stalling. Yeah, because they're on a date and Darcy walks in and is just like, "Nope, not on a date anymore. Sorry."
Yeah, no, Darcy's a jerk.
I mean, I guess she seems like she kind of saved him, or she seems like she kind of saved Jane from a date she wasn't interested in.
Well, I mean, Chris O'Dowd is on a date with Padme, so he's having a date.
He traded up from Jen.
Right. Oh gosh. Seabass.
I'll just sit here and say Seabass alone. Oh, it was great. Chris O'Dowd, man. That dude could be in every movie. I would not be upset.
Yeah.
And Dr. Selvig has lost his mind. He is just running naked through Stonehenge.
Do they show this scene twice in this movie, and the first time was like an accidental editing error?
No.
Because he's like running naked through Stonehenge, and then we just go back to regular movie. And, like, nobody addresses it. Nobody talks about, like, seeing it on TV.
They don't see it on TV till later.
Yeah, they don't see it on TV till later. But, so, like, why did they show it at that point?
Just because they were talking about Eric and, like, what he's doing. I wonder where he is.
I thought it was a weird way to introduce Selvig. And then, like, he's at Stonehenge and he's running around naked. And then when they find him, he's like, yeah, they drew us a map at Stonehenge. And then we don't go back to Stonehenge, which would have been a really cool place for this fight scene to go down. But instead, we're at a college campus. I don't know. I thought it was a weird story arc. I mean, I get that we just accept that things happen the way that they happen.
You're kind of way ahead of yourself here, and all of it makes sense.
I mean, yeah, because everything meets at Greenwich. Right.
Like, that's where time is.
Also, London? What? This is America.
Okay, well, that's where time meets.
You've got an Australian actor playing an American Norse god in England. Well, he's got an American accent.
Chris Hemsworth is not Australian.
In real life, he is. Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow, you're right. Holy crap, I did not know that.
Oh, I know. I've never been right about anything ever when talking to you. I'm just going to soak this
That's not true,
up.
but...
Thank you. See, even that I was wrong about.
I had no idea. That's crazy.
Yeah, dude's Australian.
Yeah.
Then I guess he's got an American accent. Maybe it's
I guess I've never really heard him talk outside of a movie.
Ever since we started doing this podcast, I follow everything that every one of Marvel's actors and Marvel's social media pages are.
Wild.
So I've heard all of them talk.
Wild. I did not know that. That's crazy. Oh, man.
Yep.
What a weird thing.
Yep.
So yeah, it's in England. That's where this is happening.
I mean, yeah, we're just going to accept... We're doing it in England now. Why the land of enchantment when we could be in London?
Because the Bifrost has moved.
Sure, whatever.
I guess. I don't know.
And this movie, it seems like he can Bifrost his way out of any spot.
I mean, maybe.
Back to Heimdall.
Yeah.
Did you notice what Thor's buddies drive? We talk a lot about the cars in these movies, so I was hoping you made a note of it.
Like his...
Like Ed Selvig, not Ed Selvig, but like...
the beat-up Volvo.
The beater Volvo. I was like, okay, so you mean to tell me that... I mean, I guess Volvo is like a pretty luxury brand, but you mean to tell me that Iron Man has a deal with Audi, and the Avengers have a deal with Acura, and Thor has a deal with beat-up Volvos?
I mean, I think that it's because, like...
Nobody shows up at the end with like a nice XC90.
You know, this is a questionable choice. You're not wrong.
What's Volvo's like S60? Nobody has an S60 at the end.
Yeah, they're like sedan or whatever.
Yeah, they're like premium luxury sedan or whatever.
This podcast is brought to you by Beat Up Volvos from the 90s. Beat Up Volvos from the 90s. Very safe.
Like unbelievably safe. Yeah, it's like a Saab.
Definitely
better.
Not gonna kill you. Also Swedish.
But I don't know anything about Europe. In case anybody's curious, ask Ethan what I texted him the other day. Don't tell them, but you can tweet at them. Ask Ethan what stupid question I asked him the other day about the geography in Europe.
Oh, man. It was something.
Whoops.
So Darcy and Jane go off to this, like, warehouse.
Oh,
it's like a Call of Duty map.
Yeah, there's a trope in here that grinds my gears.
Which is...
they're just looking at this little like science readings device, and there's just like there's no
it's stable at 100%.
There's no real
70% or
whatever. Right. It's just science mumbo jumbo. Yep. It's literally just like magic via science. They're going to talk about it on Asgard with some really eloquent description, and they're going to talk about it on Earth with some not real science description, and it's going to make more sense on Earth because Midgard is scientific and studies the real natural world, but really they don't.
None of it exists anyway. But what we do get is like floating cement mixers, and this kid throws a bottle down a stairwell, and it just falls over and over and over and over again. And he grabs the bottle out of midair, and Jane's like, "I want to do it." And Jane throws the can down the stairwell, and it just doesn't come back.
Yeah, fun with portals. Yeah. That's what I got out of this.
And her scientific meters are going all haywire, and then the intern throws the car keys into the...
Yeah.
Which comes back later. I thought that was great. That like she picks up the keys at the end.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. And she uses them to start the beater Volvo.
I know. That was cool. That was like something I didn't expect.
Yeah, I thought it was like, well, that's the end of the Volvo.
So
on to the next car.
So this movie then proceeds to go completely off the rails for a minute, and like Jane walks through a wall and gets sucked into some kind of weird cavern, and
that cavern looks like the scene from the end of National Treasure. Yeah. That was my first thought.
You're not wrong. And she gets the ether, like, inside of her.
And she looks like one of the blowy-uppy people from Iron Man 3.
And something happens. And then Malekith is alive, even though he's like 1 billion years old at this point. And he's on some kind of spaceship. And this movie stopped making sense about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Because then, things are happening.
But then she's just, like, back.
She falls, like, back. Oh, she, like, wakes up back.
She wakes up, she's just, like, on Earth again. And Darcy's like... Sorry, go ahead.
Here's what I'm thinking, is that what happens there is, like she is on a plane, right?
Yeah, she is out of the realm of Heimdall's vision, which is important.
Yeah. Yeah, she's out of the realm of Heimdall. She's in the Dark World, or... even further than the Dark World, because I guess the Dark World is one of the realms.
The Dark World is Svartalfheim. Svartalfheim, which is one of the 9 realms. It's below Vanaheim.
Yeah, weird how they're stacked. I guess that's why it's called Midgard, because they're stacked.
The
way I see it is like they're moving up and down, right? Yeah. And she is like a fixed point in space and time. So it moves up, and then she all of a sudden is back in Midgard. That was my interpretation here.
So, yeah, basically, Heimdall can't see her, and Thor's weirded out about that because Heimdall can see everyone. So he's freaked out, and then she gets back.
And he goes back.
And
he does some
Darcy's
cool
like,
stuff.
I called the cops. And Jane was like, what did I tell you to do is never call the cops, because the cops will call S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right. And then S.H.I.E.L.D. never shows up.
Nope.
Because science.
Well, even later, they're like,
something.
Darcy goes, S.H.I.E.L.D. won't answer the phone.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Agent Coulson not budgeted
Agent Coulson
for this
is
movie.
dead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Season 5 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is coming out. Agent Coulson's alive.
Yeah, well, Agent Coulson in the Avengers universe is dead. Yeah, but, like, I don't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so I don't know that.
Well, they are. In fact, I remember in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. when this movie comes out, there's like previously in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and there's just like a cut scene, like a cut together trailer from Thor: The Dark World. I remember this happening in like season 1 or 2.
But Thor's there. She's just like, he's just standing there like off to the side, and it's raining. She's like, rain.
But it's not raining on
rain.
Thor.
And then it's not raining on her, and...
Yeah, very cool.
And it's not raining on Thor, and she looks over and there's Thor, and like she walks away, and it starts raining on Darcy, and Darcy's just like, Jesus Christ.
Wow, cool.
Cool. And she goes up to Thor, and it's like, she's gonna kiss him, whatever. And she just slaps him in the face.
Where were you? Or whatever.
Yeah, no. First of all, she's like, I had to make sure you're real. And he goes, yeah, I'm real. And then she slaps him again.
Yeah. She slaps a bunch of it. She slaps Loki later on.
I mean, they deserve it, to be fair.
I mean, you came to our world with the whole Chitauri army.
And so then we get this thing where the cops are mad at her, and the cop touches her, and she explodes. Yep. So she is extremis again, apparently.
It is defending itself, is what the
Asgardian doctors say.
Yeah. So it does, like, that's why it doesn't care when Thor attacks her, because Thor is not going to take or take her.
She just gets bifrosted off to Asgard.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Real quick, Thor can control rain?
Yeah.
I thought the whole thing was like he shows up and there's thunder and lightning and no rain.
No, he can control the storms.
The
storms, yeah.
Thorms.
Sprinkles.
Anyways, that's Thor. Fun with portals.
And Darcy's just standing there like, okay, arrest me now, see if I give a hoot.
And Malekith still not speaking English throughout all these cutscenes.
Yeah, no, now he's back on Svartalfheim. And I had a note that says there's probably supposed to be subtitles. So if you could tell me what happened, that'd be great.
What is my note here? I don't know what I was going for.
I don't know. No idea. So you don't know either. Whatever. Nothing important. Is this where the dark elf guy gets his helmet? No, that's later on.
What?
Never mind. We'll get there. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Okay.
Jane's back on Asgard. And they're like, oh my god, we don't know what's going on. There's this thing in her. And Odin's like, she's immortal. She's going to die. Just deal with it. Jesus Christ.
Right, like this. Loki even talks about it later on. Is he's like, this girl will live for 100 years.
That's
at
nothing.
Best. That is literally a heartbeat to a god such as us. Which, if you're going to take that approach, how on earth do you take, like, how do you live in the moment for anything?
Their moments are just a lot longer.
Right, but how were you in the moment to like how was New York a moment worth living for?
Oh, because he was trying to take over the whole Midgard.
Yeah, but if you take over Midgard, guess what? All these people are going to die in 100 years, which is a moment.
Right, but then there will be more people who are born worshipping Loki.
I suppose. Generations upon generations of Loki
Yeah,
worshippers.
no, to a god, that's the ideal scenario, is because it just takes a couple generations for it to become the norm. For nobody to remember the war and just remember the god.
Clever Loki.
Yeah.
You god of mischief.
He's always been the smart one.
I don't know. He's pretty dumb.
Okay, well, he's supposed to be the smart one.
He just has an issue with loyalty.
Yeah.
He just can't grasp the whole concept.
Yeah. Anyway, the infection is defending itself, and Odin's like, that's when Odin starts to be like, okay, well, this is weird. She can stay.
Right. He's like, you know what? Let's keep her under our care. Let's take care of this. I think Odin should have known, since he already explained in this movie to us what the infection is.
Well, and that's what I'm saying, is that narration didn't really make any sense at all.
Right.
But we get the whole history on the Dark Elves at that point, and like they existed before the Nine Realms, that there was only darkness. And then Malekith wants to bring the world back to only darkness. But Odin's convinced that he is dead, though. He is convinced that Malekith is dead.
I have a note here that I have no idea what Eccleston is saying in this entire movie.
What do you mean?
Like, I have no idea what his character's motivation is at all.
There isn't one.
Like, I get, like, I'm Malekith, and
he just wants the Nine Realms to be destroyed, but like he wanted that to begin with.
It's like just like a lust for power kind of thing, He
has no motivation whatsoever.
But I mean, if this movie's purpose was to be like, you know what, we're going to do this MCU thing, and we're going to shine some light on some Norse mythology and tell our version of the tale, which is what Neil Gaiman tells us to do, tell our version of the tale, then I'm about it. Whatever.
Yeah, Neil Gaiman, who wrote Norse mythology because of this movie series.
Was that why?
Yeah, the intro to Norse mythology, he's like, I was watching Thor, and it was awesome. And I was like, Neil Gaiman, you were already, in my mind, the English-speaking expert on Norse mythology. I learned everything I know about Norse mythology from reading American Gods.
But this is, Marvel's retelling of that story, kind of the flippity-floppity of what Neil Gaiman's talking about, because I guess if he's inspired by them, then this is them telling their version of the dark story. If I'm not mistaken, just most mythologies are pretty silly. Like, if you listen to Norse mythology, most of the stories, there's some serious stories, but a lot of it is pretty silly. I could be mistaken. But a lot of Greek and Roman mythology, which is what we get a lot of our mythos in American literature from, are like silly stories. Absolutely. A good example of it would be like, what's that story? And it's told from the Canterbury Tales. And it's told from 32 perspectives, and they're all just as silly as the last.
Well, and I mean, that's part of the ethos of it, is that the gods are personified. They are just people.
Right. They can fall in love, and they can and they have their hearts broken.
And they have millions of children, and Norse mythology talks about how Loki's children are wolves and snakes and demons, and everybody else's children are just people.
Right. But we've already talked about that. So then we're coming back into the movie. We get Loki in his prison cell. What do you think of these prison cells? I thought they were kind of cool. What do you think of the whole prison situation we've got going on here? Or did you not think anything
of it? It's just a prison cell. It reminded me of Borderlands.
It's a prison cell with an energy shield. Yeah. Really? How so?
Because there's an energy shield around it. It reminded me of that scene in Borderlands where the thing where Jack releases all the animals in the wildlife preserve. That one scene where you have to kill the midget guy 6 times. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I'm totally leaving that in.
Okay.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's very much like that. I thought they were kind of cool because Loki's got his own little setup, his little one-room office, bedroom, studio apartment. But rent there is absurd.
This, we should note that one of the Dark Elves has allowed themselves to be captured and brought into the prisons.
I thought that was Eccleston's little buddy guy.
Yeah, okay, I'm just saying he has been captured at this point and is brought into the prisons.
Yeah, and he eats like a Superstone or whatever.
For the second time. Yeah.
In the prisons. Well, for the first time.
Is it not the same guy from earlier?
No, that guy was from a war from zillions of years past. I think that's like a death sentence when you eat one of those.
Oh, true, because he never goes back to being a regular Dark Elf after that.
Right.
But we get this cool scene where Loki and Frigga are having their fight, and she does the thing where she's not actually there. Yeah,
well, I thought that was Loki projecting her. But then you're right, because she does it later on with Jane Foster.
Right.
So it needs to introduce that she's got that skill. That's where Loki learned it. I thought Loki... So when I watched that...
So that's always been the thing is and grant, this is going back to mythology we don't get in this... I guess they do say it later, but Loki definitely takes further after the mother than the father.
Right.
And Thor takes after Odin and Loki takes after Frigga.
So I thought, and maybe this is a little bit of just idealistic theory here, I thought during that scene that Loki was talking to himself and he was projecting his mother as how she would talk to him, and her disapproval of him is how he sees himself now.
Oh, I could definitely see that, but I think you're kind of reaching there a little bit.
I might be. I don't know. I've reached for things before.
I think that is actually her, and she's just not there, because he clearly tries to touch her. He thinks she's there.
Right, but I mean, he could be so lost in his own mind that that's what he thinks going on, because later on when we see him, when Thor shows up, and he's like, Loki, no more tricks. And then, we get Loki out of his little suit of armor, and we get him in the back corner, just looking a hot mess.
I mean, I get what you're saying, but everybody breaks out of prison except Loki doesn't get broken out, but he still gives the people advice for leaving.
Yeah, he says go up the stairs to the left, which I don't know. I would have appreciated some more follow the white rabbit sort of metaphorical advice than literally go that direction.
Well, I mean, Loki sends them that way, and then his mother gets killed.
Oh, so you think Loki killed the mother?
No. Indirectly, yes, but I think that he didn't mean to.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think that he is actually busted up about Frigga getting killed.
Yeah, I think he is legitimately upset about that.
But everybody gets broken out of prison, and we get a great line between two of the Warriors 3, who are Volstagg and Fandral. Fancy French guy.
Yeah.
When one of them goes, it's as if they resent being in prison. The other one goes, there's no pleasing some creatures.
Oh, I know. Super good. Super good. I don't... What do you think of Mr. Super Soldier Man? I know they had a name for him where the Dark Elves eat the super stones or whatever.
Yeah, no, I just kept calling him Big Scary Fire Guy.
Yeah, I was not crazy about this whole little henchman
character. Well, at first I thought he was Malekith. I didn't realize what was going on because I didn't get the subtitles. I didn't know what was happening. So
gotcha. I think Malekith stabs him, and then because he was stabbed, he can put like the super stone in his side.
Right. But then he puts the helmet on, and I didn't realize who it was.
Yeah,
it's not Malekith, because Malekith shows up later on a spaceship, and they get a bunch of the spaceships, and like, what's his name? Heimdall destroys one of them with a knife. That was badass.
Very cool. I thought these ships in general were very cool. I was like, look at these ships coming in; they're all invisible.
They were sick. They're
cool shit.
Very Star Wars.
Exactly. This is actually where I made the note. This is like Star Wars meets Lord of the Rings.
I also made a note right here because I said the Asgardian longboat things also make pod racer noises. Because they were flying around. It's like...
Now that's pod racing.
No, this is pod racing. Sebulba.
Sebulba is the greatest villain of all time.
Where does Sebulba fall
on the rank?
Is he replacing Heath Ledger's Joker?
He replaces Heath Ledger's Joker.
Right, on a scale of Tommy Lee Jones to Sebulba.
Because, you don't even need to know who plays Sebulba to know
on a scale of Trade Federation goons to Sebulba.
That's what we'll have to do when we do Star Wars.
No, we can't do it for Star Wars. We'll have to do like when we do The Matrix.
Right.
Where does this fall on a scale of Agent Smith 145 to the actual Agent Smith?
Agent Smith 145. Wow, he gets taken out
immediately
in that scene in the courtyard.
I don't have a whole lot of notes about this scene. I just wrote a note that said that those antimatter grenades are cool.
Yeah, they're very cool. And the Doctor throws the antimatter grenade onto the throne. Yeah. It looks like.
Well,
and,
before that,
the throne.
Before that, we see Heimdall create this big shield around the palace, which is effective.
Yeah, and it lasts
for like 30
5 seconds.
And
that is some Harry Potter
big
stuff.
Big scary
right
fire
there.
guy is just like, nope, done.
Yeah, no, you're not going to do that. Ba-boosh.
So Malekith flies his spaceship just straight into the throne room.
Which is, I mean, listen, if you want to power
he does this a lot, actually, where he just ignores the terrain and just flies it wherever he wants.
Things. Well, he places it pretty well in the center of London.
Yeah, but I mean, he just like flies it through the earth.
That's true. He throws the like anti-gravity bomb,
destroys the throne,
and it eats the throne. But then later on in the movie, it's not destroyed or something.
Well, if they can rebuild the Bifrost, they can rebuild a chair.
I guess it's not like this religion's known for a great carpenter. I guess Thor does have a hammer, so maybe it is. Odin's spear. He comes in and he kills literally one dark elf with it.
It's like Gundalbrock or whatever. I need to stop reading this book.
It kills... No, I love this. Ethan's knowledge of Norse mythology.
Well, it's just like... It's lining up...
Because you're not being a jerk about it.
It's just lining up like so... Like, I'm watching this movie and be like, I know these things.
I mean, that's how it should be. I appreciate you appreciating me, appreciating these things.
It's cool. But yeah, I don't remember the name. It's like Grundle Punch or something. But it is a spear that can never miss.
Well, his spear knocks out literally one dark elf with like a laser.
We get this a lot of like Odin not being that great of a warrior, even though he's supposed to be like the warrior god. He shows up at the wrong
time. Right. And then Malekith starts speaking English in Asgard. I forgot what he says. Me too. But he does speak English. Oh, he's talking to Frigga.
Yeah, and then he kills Frigga.
And he kills Thor after, but like
mad.
He very quickly loses to Frigga in this fight. Like Frigga gets him with the knife that she stole, and then has him like pinned against a corner, and then she gets killed.
Yeah, she has his big scary dude kill her, and Thor is mad. Thor is pissed, and we get this big serious.
So pissed, in fact, that
sorry, no, you go for it. Go for it. I was moving on.
So Thor is so pissed, in fact, that literally this is the end of the fight scene. They didn't get what they came for. They didn't kill all the people in Asgard. They literally just kill Frigga and leave.
Yeah.
That's it. Thor doesn't have to fight them off. Thor throws his hammer to try to get them to fight, and they just fly off and leave. They didn't do anything.
Which is honestly probably smart, because if they had stuck around, Thor would have just absolutely marked them.
I mean, Thor probably would have, but Thor later on doesn't kill either one of these guys. Loki kills one, and the man's ship kills
he's
himself.
Accidentally killed.
Yeah.
Well, Thor kind of kills him. And Thor
Loki
sends him to the other realm.
Yeah.
Which my impression of it is that it's going to close until the next convergence anyway. Like, you won't be able to get off Svartalfheim anymore.
I mean, bet Heimdall could get you off Svartalfheim.
Yeah, well, I don't think Heimdall's going to do that.
I mean, Scourge might.
We're not talking about Scourge.
I'm just saying, Heimdall is not like an internal job.
No, but I mean, the Bifrost is there's a lot of things that happen.
Lots of things that are still to happen.
They're still to happen. But we get this big, serious funeral scene for Frigga, and like they do the Viking pyre, and she like rides the boat off.
This thing is awesome.
With the orbs.
The archer is an excellent shot. And then all the other archers shoot excellent shots into all the other ships. And this was just cool. Like, I was trying to be sad, but I literally said, holy nut balls.
Yeah, no, it was awesome. Cool. It was really cool. And we get a scene of Loki. Even Loki's upset. He goes and destroys the nice stuff that his mom got for him in his throne room. Yeah. Not his throne room, his prison cell. The opposite of a throne room.
I mean, it's kind of his throne room, you know. And then we get Ed Selvig in the nursing home or whatever, in the cuckoo house. It's a great scene.
You think he's in front of a class or something like that. He's explaining the convergence, and we turn around, and it's a bunch of people at a mental institution, and Stan Lee's, can I get my shoe back?
I thought it was a weak cameo on Stan Lee's part. I was like, boo. Yeah. Ooh, do better, Stan Lee.
Well, I mean, it's never going to pass the next one.
Thor one? I was about to say, I don't even know what his cameo is.
In The Winter Soldier? There's been a couple of these movies where I haven't even noticed.
I've always noticed.
Where was he in Captain America?
You're asking me right now, but I don't remember. But I remember when it was happening. Because I didn't notice it. I was like, yep, Stan Lee says I thought he was taller.
Oh, okay. I do.
You remember that now.
So after that, Jane has visions of everything being destroyed by the ether, because she is the ether.
Cool stuff. I'm all about it.
Yeah, at first I thought it was actually happening, and then I realized that it wasn't, because that would have been way too easy, because we're like an hour into the movie.
Right.
Oh, wow, okay, there we go. Everything's dead. Bye.
Yeah.
And then Odin, takes her prisoner.
Yeah, Odin takes her prisoner and puts her in, I don't even know where, but he doesn't put her in the prison cells. Because we would have caught.
We don't ever see her go anywhere, but Thor just walks in the middle of fancy French guy explaining why they're screwed.
Why is this guy like a consult? I was like,
he's
why?
One of the Warriors 3.
Yeah, he says, "Who? My king. We are all defenseless. We are all but defenseless to him," is what he says. He's like, wow, super optimistic, bro.
I mean, they're not wrong.
Whatever.
They can't see him coming. Even Heimdall can't see him coming.
They can't see him coming, but I don't know. You can't see Loki coming. They've managed to capture him over and over again.
I mean, I think Loki has a bit to do with that.
Yeah, Loki.
Well, not even that. It's like Loki has not seemed like he once has been out of place. If you get what I'm saying.
Loki's the only person on the ship that wants to be here.
Yeah, exactly. His whole life has been like that. His whole existence in this movie. Or any of these movies has been like that. Loki has never once seemed like he was not in control.
Right. And then we get, after that, we get this, Thor explaining a plan, kind of like Ocean's 11-y.
Yeah, where they're sitting in a bar, and it's, happening as he's explaining it, which is cool.
Yeah, I thought it was cool, but it was kind of weird, but it was cool.
I liked it. I thought it was one of the best scenes in the movie, where, he's explaining the plan as the plan is happening. It's a great movie trope.
I'm not saying I didn't like it. I just thought it was it was a little out of place.
It was very heist movie, but this whole scene was very heist movie, everything that happens.
Yeah, they go and they break What's-His-Butt out of jail.
We're not going to just skip over this scene.
Oh, no, I go right ahead. Okay. Elaborate.
Because this is some of the best acting in the whole movie. Because this is where we get Loki turns himself into Captain America. And Chris Evans pretending to be Loki, pretending to be him, was amazing. That whole line seems the costume's a bit much. But the confidence, I can feel the righteousness surging.
God bless
Hey, do you want to have
America.
a rousing discussion about truth, honor, patriotism? God bless America.
and that was the only one of those little costume changes where the character that they became does the voice. When he turns Thor into Sif, it's Thor's voice. And
you're saying it will hurt no less when I kill you in this form. But no, Chris Evans is in this movie 30 seconds, and it's probably one of the best parts of the whole movie. Hats off to Chris Evans, Captain America, for that little comic relief there.
Had me smiling. Yeah, for real.
Yes, and he in an interview described how he did it. And he was just I asked the director what the line was. I asked Tom to say the lines for me over and over again, and just did it as me. As him. That's wild.
Yeah, I actually I made a comment right here that I get oddly emotional throughout this entire scene. I saw Captain America on screen, and I was like, I love this character.
There you go.
I was super excited. And then Lady Sif does the thing where she's like, if you betray him, I will kill you. And I was like, oh my god.
Oh, that was great.
You guys care about each other so much.
Sif says, if you betray him, I'll kill you. And then Volstagg says the same thing. He's like, if you even think about hurting him. And Loki goes, you'll kill me? Evidently, there will be a line.
Yeah, which is funny. I think that's a little nod to Avengers when Hawkeye was like, I want to put an arrow through his skull or whatever it was. And somebody says, get in line. Or you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, for sure.
And then Thor does this little rebellion thing. they commit treason on the throne.
They get that the dog fight scene where Thor's got this big spaceship and he can't fly it, and
Loki's just giving him the
whole time. I thought
time.
You said you knew how to fly this, and Thor goes, I said, how hard could it be?
I thought this was actually a pretty good scene. I thought this movie was way too serious for its own good, but it did have some glimmering silly moments.
This was a cool scene where they like hop out of the ship and there's another ship waiting for him, and like the ship keeps flying, and that was cool. That was smooth.
It was super smooth. And then that ship gets attacked by another ship.
Chuck hops out and
Natalie
is just
Portman
like
passes out.
Just like, I got this. And like for Asgard.
Yeah, that was cool as well. Right, for Frodo or whatever.
And then they fly through a portal back to somewhere.
Yeah, they're in the Isla de la Muerta.
Tortuga.
That's where they are. No, they're not in Tortuga. That would be awesome. But
curse you for breathing, you slack-jawed idiot.
The man who does the waking.
By the man who is sleeping a drink. Well, the man who did the sleeping. This is to a proposition made by the man who did the waking. I
just about did it. But no, they're flying through the Isla de la Muerta because they're going through a place that can only be found by those who already know where it is. And that was all I got.
They're just in
Svartalfheim. Yeah, well, those things could be in the same place. There's some weird realm jumping in the Pirates of the Caribbean series.
There's some weird realm jumping in this movie, although it ends up being really freaking cool. But we'll get to that in a little bit. It's like just a little bit.
Darcy, we get a little bit of interaction between them, and then we get back to Eric and Darcy, busting Eric out of the mental institution, which is the second time in 2 Thor movies where they're just able to walk in and take somebody out of where they've been held. Yeah, which scripting, plot devices, whatever. I think Darcy is great. She's good comic relief in this series. I guess she's just in these 2 movies. I just don't think she's as strong a comic relief as this movie needs.
No, I would agree with that. This movie was lacking in that. I think
she's funny. Kat Denning, super hilarious. She's probably super fun to work with on set. Probably a very interesting person to meet.
We needed more Chris O'Dowd,
but needed more Chris O'Dowd. Needed more Kat Denning. Honestly, if you wanted her to be the
she wasn't very much in this movie.
Yeah, but she was funny, and then she has her little intern thing. I thought that whole thing was. She
keeps calling him intern and. Yeah. She's like trying to put the business on him.
But then we do that for real quick, and then we go back to the ship, and Jane's flying with them, and she's got some crazy eyeballs. Did you notice this? They're not like black, and they're not like normal Natalie Portman eyes. They're like giant blue eyes. She looks like an anime character. Agreed. I was like, what is going on here?
We get this this interesting scene with Thor and Loki where like it's just a trap, and like Thor and Loki do this fight, and then like Loki stabs him and is like, do you think I even cared about Mother? And goes off to try to and like cuts Thor's hands off, or one of his hands, and says the thing to Malekith where he's like, all I want is a good seat to watch Asgard burn. And
I think there's some truth to that.
It is, but like Loki it's a lie because Loki's a liar.
I think this movie has the grand misconception. I know I talked about this already, but this is where the note comes in my notes. It's like there's a grand misconception that the mischief and hijinks of Thor and Loki and the gods in general have to be just this ultra serious affair. I think,
and we definitely get that in the later movies. But
yeah, I know Korg's dad in this movie didn't even say anything. No. He was just
anyway. So Malekith pulls the ether out of Jane. Which is cool, like she's sitting there floating and like all the stuff comes out of her, and then Thor's like, Loki, hit it, and he gets his hand back and zaps it with the lightning, and I'm like, oh, it's a trap, cool. But it doesn't. The ether doesn't get destroyed. It just like crystallizes,
and then
goes back into Malekith, and
their plan didn't work.
There's a big fight between Thor and the big scary fire guy, and then big scary fire guy gets killed by Loki after he kills Loki.
But there's also a good moment in here. We get to see something I've wanted in these movies, and maybe we get a little bit of it in each one. We get to see Loki fighting like a crowd of guys and doing his little Loki battle thing. I thought that was
cool. It for sure was cool.
But this movie, in throughout this whole scene, is almost comically epic. Yeah. Like everything everybody says has just such deep consequences and is like just so big and powerful. And
but we get Loki who dies allegedly.
I know.
But he has the whole thing, and Thor's like, I'll tell Father you what you did, and he's like, I didn't do this for him, and turns blue and dies.
I guess what he's doing there is there's a guard that came with them. Somewhere along the lines. Is that what I'm trying to understand? So. And Loki is projecting himself onto the guard, like kind of flipping it. Yeah.
R.I.P. that guy. But Thor's super distraught over Loki, and I think that was important for Loki to see.
Yeah. That Thor actually cares. That as much as Loki tricks him, Thor has this compassion for Loki.
No matter what. But
Yep.
Then Jane and Thor are just like stuck there, allegedly, until she gets a phone call. And the thing with the ringtone. And they brought this up throughout the thing, but like this is one of those moments where I was like, this movie is taking itself so incredibly seriously. And you remember when I was talking about Ragnarok, I was like, man, I really hope a joke doesn't get in the way of the plot of this movie and like be a plot device. Do you remember that? Yes.
In this movie, a joke is a plot device to get them out with the silly ringtone. And Chris O'Dowd calling her.
I don't think it's a joke to get them out. Like, they would have eventually figured it out. I think she just needed the realization that she's closer than she thinks.
Right. I thought it was.
I liked it. I laughed.
I thought it was silly.
I laughed. She finds the keys, and they just, like, walk back.
And Thor gets into a Volvo wearing his little get up and garb. And then they go to the apartment where Kat Denning lives. And the door, the little coat hanger, is worthy.
Yeah, he hangs Mjolnir on it. Well, I mean, it's not
very hilarious.
Worthy necessarily, because like he puts it down on the ground and like tables and stuff.
But this is holding it. Tables are like...
I would say a table is holding it. It's like Mjolnir doesn't weigh anything.
Or it weighs...
Right, but like it doesn't exist like that.
I think a hammer is a weird weapon.
Yeah.
Like just the way he swings it and the physics of it, I've always felt like in these movies are like very strange.
It's supposed to be longer. It was supposed to.
Yeah,
it was. Well, I learned this. It was made as a gift by Brock the dwarf for Loki, or not for Loki, for Thor, and Loki messed up the process of making the hammer, so he couldn't finish it. So the handle's too short. So he was supposed to be like a two-handed warhammer, but it's just a one-handed like hammer, like an H4,
like a craftsman hammer. Yeah, like an H4.
That was an old inside joke.
Yeah,
but yeah. So Loki destroys the process, or it disrupts the process of them making this hammer, and so that's why it's short.
Yes, and then Selvig is not wearing pants again. They keep coming back to this in this movie. I want to ask you a question. Eric Selvig not wearing pants. Do you think this is a funny joke, or do you think it's like okay? I
mean, it wasn't really a funny joke. It wasn't not funny. It just kind of was. I was like, oh, he's not wearing pants. Great.
Do you think? I don't know. I thought it was. I think they were trying to make it funny. Like, oh look, this guy's not wearing pants, but it wasn't funny.
Because it wasn't explained or like any kind of. It just all goes back to like, oh, I had a god in my head. I can do whatever I want.
Right. Yeah. I thought that was dumb. And then they go to that college that you and I have been to. So can we just like for 1 second, like that's pretty
like
cool,
we stood
okay?
Right there, like a year before they made this.
Yeah, like we were there. I think like they were like there when we were there, maybe
somewhere around that time frame.
Like we've been to there.
So the Royal Observatory,
that was cool,
and the Royal College of whatever at Greenwich, which is where they make time.
Greenwich. Yes, and where the 9 realms converge.
Which is what I think what they were getting at. Like, that's why time stems from there. Because everything revolves around that point. Because they explain that the other 8 realms revolve around Midgard.
Greenwich specifically?
Well, just around Midgard. I guess that's where they chose to put the point. But this is not actually the same functionality as we get, because it looks like they all stack on top of each other, as not the same functionality as we get in Norse mythology by Neil Gaiman, where they are all on one plane.
Right, where this is sort of a 3-dimensional plane with 2-dimensional planes of reality.
The whole 9 realms are one 2-dimensional plane in the book, and they revolve because of Jormungandr, who is a giant serpent that is also Loki's child.
Interesting.
Yep. The Midgard serpent, who is he lives around the border of Midgard and stops people from leaving Midgard. Because the Midgardians are treated like children that don't get to see anything else.
I mean, that's definitely true throughout this whole series.
Right, it's like everybody else can just go back and forth, but people in Midgard are like, you guys should probably stay here.
So, anyway, back to the movie. I have few major complaints, but I have equally few major triumphs with this movie. I honestly think it's kind of about as average a movie as it could be in this genre. It's got emotional parts and funny parts and feel-good parts and feel-bad parts and cool action sequences, but none of them do, like, exceptionally bad or exceptionally well. But what it does do exceptionally well is it is gorgeous. And even throughout this final fight scene.
I think this final fight scene is cool as heck. I just really enjoyed it, where it's like they're flipping in and out of realms, and like Thor throws the hammer like from Svartalfheim, and it goes through the realm into Midgard and up into space, and then he goes back to Midgard and like catches it. That was cool. Like just the whole mechanic of it.
Yeah, I agree. I thought this whole fight scene was very cool. You know, like it does something with multiple planes of reality that we didn't get in Avengers.
Yeah.
Where like in Avengers, the only time anybody goes into the portal is to blow everything up.
Well, and we get the jet fighters that accidentally bomb Vanaheim.
Right, yeah. The jet fighters fly in, and there is a moment in this movie where where a government, I guess this is the British government in this situation, bombs civilian territory, civilian territory on their own turf.
Yep, they just were straight up about to nuke the college,
which I don't think they would have done. One minor complaint you got to bring up about this fight scene? No Captain America, no Iron Man. Which I know Iron Man just gave up everything, right? So he's probably not like super eager to go out there and fight between realms again. If anybody's not going to, it's Tony Stark. He's got some PTSD about that whole issue.
Cap's a little outmatched here.
But I mean, you could have thrown in a Clint Barton, just sniping some of these
Cap's
dudes.
Also in America. He's not Captain Britain.
Cap is in America. He's not. You're right. He's not Captain Britain, but I would take just at least one little Clint Barton sniping baddies.
I mean, I have a major complaint about this part of the movie, and this is like we should have gotten Malekith's motivation here because we finally get a confrontation between Thor and Malekith where he's just like, you know, and he goes, "Your universe was never meant to be. You and your family will perish." And just like, what? What do you want?
He wants to restore darkness. But like,
why? What is that going to do for him? That sounds like it sucks.
That is what he is used to. It's his
destiny.
Like it
sucks.
That's the problem with those. Yeah, that's the problem with this whole mythology canon. Is that like you can just say that somebody wants to do something just because
but like Loki always had motivation.
Loki's a frost giant raised by
Asgardians,
by the Odin sons.
The Odin sons. But yeah, we don't get Malekith's motivation here. He doesn't have any motivation. He just is an evil villain for the sake of being evil.
Right.
And
he just does his evil villain thing.
But we do get this huge fight scene, and it is cool, but they tried a little bit too hard to bring the comedy into it in two different scenes in this fight scene. Because
I know one of them is the kiss scene.
Yes, where they have their kiss, and they zap back into reality, and it's like, Darcy, Jane, Ian, Selvig, Mew Mew. And I'm just like, Donkey!
Donkey.
But it was in bad taste, I think. And then the other one, and I do think it was kind of funny, but like Thor takes the tube back to Greenwich, and the girl can't keep her hands off him.
I actually remember that. I was like, what do you think a train is going to get you there even remotely fast enough?
I don't think he knows where he is. So he ends up in a tube station, so I'm probably not the worst idea. Yeah. And he's just like, how do I get to Greenwich?
She's like 3 stops. I mean, thank God it was the right train.
Just like, it's Thor. And this
people
this one I think
pictures
is
left and right
because like we finally get to see Thor as like a celebrity. Like people know him, and
This is also the first one in the whole series where I felt like, and maybe Iron Man 2 did this, but people are like taking pictures and like super interested in like the social media aspect of everything is starting to take effect.
I did.
Did you notice that?
That's literally what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is that like they are not running to safety inside the college because Thor's out there waving his hammer around and they want to take a video of it. And like that's a kind of a commentary, but I also think it's funny that they just finally brought Thor into like the public spectrum.
Right. And then they win
the
fight.
All the realms are converging, and Malekith is like sending the ether up into the different realms, and Thor just basically takes one of Jane's anomaly sticks into the big blood tornado.
He takes 3 of them. Like throws them as like as like javelins at first, and like sends different parts of
into
him
different realms
around,
and then he
hammers it into his chest.
Again, I missed that happening, so I'm glad you picked up on that. But
listen, I don't know that I saw it, but if that is what happened, it's awesome. He's got the hammer in one hand,
right? And then
other.
So he gets sent back to Dark Elf Land, and the ship falls on him, which is kind of a lame way to die. Not as lame as Whiplash, but like still kind of lame.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And then Thor is okay. Whiplash just like exploded anticlimactically.
Oh yeah, his suit explodes.
And Thor's okay. I wrote yay.
Yay, Thor's okay. And then he goes back, and Thor again not king because he decides now he doesn't want to be king.
I'd rather be a good man than a great king.
Which it's a a pretty good line there they got at the end for him. And then we learn that Loki is on the throne.
Loki the whole time. And
I knew
just
it.
Like,
yeah.
Odin's, well, we get that scene where like the guard is clearly Loki, but like you're not supposed to know it.
Right. And now Odin is at like Shady Oaks Retirement Center in New York City.
Yeah, Odin's
spoiler
like,
alert.
I can't. If I could say that I was proud of my son, I might just think about it. It like gives him the smile, and I'm just like, God dang it! But it was Loki the whole time. Odin is Odin is gone.
And then we get 2 post-credit scenes. Both of them pretty good. Both of them pretty exciting.
Oh.
Yes.
Pause.
First. Okay. So there's 2 post-credit scenes in this movie. The first of which is awesome.
It's really cool.
It's super cool. We get like discussion
Sif
of
and
Infinity Stones.
Volstagg
We get
meeting with the Collector.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where Infinity Stones first get mentioned.
Yeah, and they talk about how the Tesseract is an Infinity Stone, and now we know that the Tesseract,
I'm guessing, that's
the Ether.
The case they made for the Ether.
Yeah, it looks like the big rock that it was on top of before. It's gotta be the
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So now they've got 2 Infinity Stones, and the Collector's like, I've got 2 of them. No, I've got 1.
5 to go.
5
he knows where the other one is.
Yeah, he knows at least where one more of them is.
And then we get a really lame scene.
And then we get a lame scene where like Thor shows up and kisses Jane.
Boo. Boo.
Boo. Because like then it's over.
And she's never again. She's never in there again.
Yeah, which thumbs down now.
Boo. Boo hiss. So
boo hiss. Anyway, let's get into some rankings.
So yeah, well, first of all, what did you like and dislike about this movie?
I liked how pretty it was.
Yes.
I liked that they're, our villain doesn't have a ton of motivation.
Yeah.
Meh. I don't know. I've really felt like the movie gets pretty average points for almost every category you could have for this movie, for like a superhero film. Like, you have cool action scenes. Yes, above average.
Yeah, that last fight scene was cool, where they were floating in and out of realms. It was tight.
Yeah, so above average action scenes. Does it have cool characters?
Yeah, for the most part. They're not.
Thor's cool. We get a little bit of development with his friends.
Not quite developed yet.
But, get a little bit of here and there. Enough that we care about them. If they were to die off, I'd be upset.
Would you?
Not really.
Well, I mean, I still think the Thor character is underdeveloped at this point.
Based on where he is now, yeah. A lot of his development happens off screen.
I still feel like I don't know a whole lot about Thor.
I think you're just supposed to accept that he's sort of this like ultra loyal god of thunder who gives people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, I would agree with that, especially
or Loki. At least gives Loki the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. It was alright.
It was pretty forgettable, honestly.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, it takes a long time to get going, and that like I was bored for like an hour and a half, and then it was cool for like 20 minutes.
I think younger audiences would be lost on this movie pretty well.
Yeah.
The reason I think I could capture them is because of the cool fight scenes, but a lot of it is like
there's not a whole lot of fighting compared to the rest of these movies,
right? And there's a lot of dialogue and a lot of my complaint about like the Lord of the Rings movies is that there's like a lot of stuff that's going way over my head, like a lot of politics that my world can't relate to.
No, I love the Lord of the Rings movies.
I do too. I've never sat down and watched them and been like, I hate this. I just have always felt like I can't appreciate them to the level that I would like to because I don't have the time to put in to really understand what's going on.
Yeah, you definitely shouldn't watch Game of Thrones then.
Maybe I'll try.
I said shouldn't.
I know.
You'll try not watching Game of Thrones. You've been pretty successful at not watching Game of Thrones so far.
Maybe when it's all said and done, I'll watch it.
You have
That's how
6
I did,
episodes left.
That's how I did Breaking Bad. Yeah, and probably like 3 years.
1 year.
Really? They're going to come out next year?
Come out every year.
Really? I thought it was like every other year.
Nope. It's only been around since 2011.
What did you like and dislike? This is your first time seeing this movie. This is the first movie, second movie we've done you've never seen before, but first movie in our continuity that you have never seen. So what did you like and dislike?
It had some cool action sequences. It was very well shot. The director gets a good job. The writers, not so much. There wasn't a whole lot of storytelling going on. Like, it was just, and it wasn't even like I felt like it lacked plot. It just kind of dragged. There wasn't enough plot. Like, it was a slow plot.
Yeah, it was like a plot that could have been summed up in probably 15 minutes of movie drawn into an hour.
I mean, maybe not 15, maybe like 45.
Right.
But, and I don't want to be the guy that always harps on villain motivation, but like Malekith had zero villain motivation whatsoever, which I think that one of the strong points of Thor 1 was Loki and the fact that he was the villain and like, he was a good villain. I think he's our number one villain right now.
I think you're right.
We should really write this down.
Hey, let's get a 1 to 10 on our villain here. Malekith.
I
give him a 4. Strong 4. Because he doesn't have any motivation.
But he's kind of cool.
Okay? But he's not missing his own motivation. Like, his motivation is like every, at this point, I guess every 5,000 years or whatever. Something about 5,000 years. Everything will be in convergence and I will be able to do this thing.
And I don't know if he's necessarily dead.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with like Aldrich Killian. Like, I don't think he was convincingly killed, so...
I think they do that on purpose because I don't know that they know what actors they're going to be able to get to do a reprisal.
I feel that. Also, maybe they need 5,000 years of the future for this to come back. For Thor to be like, are you serious?
This again.
But I give him a 4. I'm going to put him... can I say that he's better than Abomination? I promised myself I wouldn't put anybody below Abomination.
I think he's better than Abomination. I mean, like, Chris Eccleston is,
so
cool.
who have we had? We've had Abomination at the bottom. We're looking in the bottom, 3. Let's be real here.
Oh, yeah. Let me pull up.
So we got Abomination, we got Whiplash, we got the U.S. government. I guess those aren't officially ranked. Where did we put the Mandarin? I feel like we put the Mandarin right above Abomination last time.
We might have.
I'm going to say worse than Mandarin.
I'll agree with that.
Better than Abomination, worse than Mandarin. I'm going to go back and listen to all the episodes and figure out where that puts us. And they will be in the episode descriptions starting probably tomorrow, but Wednesday, if you're listening to this on Thursday, so I guess the day before yesterday.
I'm so confused about the words you just said. I'm so lost.
Theoretically, the villain power rankings will be listed in the episode description starting on Wednesday, November 8th.
Gotcha.
Because I'm going to go through and listen to them tomorrow and figure out where they all line up. But I'm going to say between Abomination and Mandarin. If there's somebody else in there, maybe if we put Whiplash in there, I don't know yet. But I'm going to say between Abomination and Mandarin.
Was this movie better than The Incredible Hulk?
Yes.
You say that without wavering.
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching it.
I did too. I didn't see Edward Norton sleeping anywhere in this movie.
Well, the whole thing, and I'm going to keep coming back to this, is like, I felt like Incredible Hulk would not end.
Yeah, I kept feeling like, oh my gosh, when will this be over?
But this movie, I was just like, oh, okay, that's cool. It's a movie. It's a movie.
Yeah.
That's why I gave it a 5.
That's
why I gave it a 5.
He's got knives for hands.
You can't keep referencing that.
I gave it a 6. What did I say? 6.7? 6.7. I did that because I really do think it is exceptionally beautiful. And that's what I'm giving it credit
I don't think
for,
it's any more beautiful than any other Marvel
1.7
movie, though.
points.
I think these are all high budget movies, and they are going to look good.
I think it's better looking than Iron Man 3.
I think it looks exactly the same as Iron Man 3.
As far as power ranking for the film, though, I thought I liked this movie more than I do, or did today.
Yeah, I'm going to immediately prove myself wrong on what I said last week. That I think
what?
all of the movies in Phase 2 are going to slot in between Iron Man 2 and Captain America. No, actually, I'm not. I think this is better than Iron Man 2. I do.
You do?
There were some things with Iron Man 2 that I just couldn't
say it.
I couldn't abide.
Right, like there was so many things. Like there's nothing in this movie that I thought was particularly wrong. There were things in Iron Man 2 where I was like, "That's stupid."
Yeah, but like there was nothing glaring in this movie that I can't move past.
So where does that put it? This is below Thor, above Iron Man 2.
Yeah. So I did prove myself wrong because I said that everything was going to be above Thor, between Thor and Captain America. So this one is going to go for me into 6th place between Thor and Iron Man 2 because I don't.
So give me like the whole thing.
So this would make 1 Iron Man, 2 the Avengers, 3 Captain America, 4 Iron Man 3, 5 Thor, 6 Thor the Dark World, 7 Iron Man 2, 8 The Incredible Hulk.
Okay. I will agree with that.
So it is written, so it shall be.
I really thought I was going to be more excited about it.
I did too. I was excited to watch it, and I came away whelmed. I was,
Yep.
How that leaves us with a toughie.
What's our last rating? I forget.
Breakfast food.
Oh, we didn't have breakfast food. Yeah, breakfast
it's
food.
It's a toughie. What? Breakfast food is whelming.
Golly. I mean, like maybe like a McGriddle, because I go into it with high
I don't
hopes.
even know if you can necessarily describe this as a food. It's like you go into a restaurant
This is like when you get sausage biscuits and gravy, and it's not bad, but like you're like, I'm not going to tell my mom about this sausage biscuit.
It's like you go to there are lots of breakfast places. It's like no, hang on, I got this. It's hotcakes from McDonald's.
Hotcakes from McDonald's.
No.
Disagreed. Hotcakes from McDonald's is like a disappointment.
No, it's not a disappointment because you get them, and you're like, yeah, okay, these are pancakes.
Technically,
no, they're not. They're not disgusting. They're not like, and you know they're pancakes. Like you got them, and you're like, I don't know what I expected, but I got it.
I mean, that description right there, I will give
they're
you.
just, or I mean, I don't want to disparage IHOP's pancakes, but like. Because they are pretty good, but they're just like they're just pancakes. Like you get them,
right.
You know what you're. You go in with a little bit more hope. You're like, man, these are gonna be really good pancakes, and you're just like, these are pancakes.
And pancakes are still good,
right? Like it's still a superhero movie. It's still a Marvel movie. I still enjoyed watching it. I still enjoyed eating my pancakes. but like, they're just pancakes. I don't know what I expected, but I got it. That's what I'm going with this.
Yeah. You got pancakes. So you think this is just a stack of flapjacks?
I'm going to say this is just your standard. This is a good benchmark for which to base our ratings, honestly, because it is, like I said, it is just a movie.
Here's the thing, though, and I agree with you, but I think the reason it doesn't get to be a benchmark is because there are more movies that are better than it than there are movies that are worse than it.
Well, you want to pass your benchmark.
I think if you... Right. So I think, like, if we looked at this as a benchmark, like, moving forward, if any movie we saw that was in the superhero genre would be like, is this better or worse than Thor the Dark World? I think we'd be fine with a good benchmark moment. Because I think if you looked at, like, every one that was ever made, you'd look about 50% on each side.
You're going to get some bad ones. Like, there was a whole plethora of, like, Christopher Reeve Superman movies that were just bad.
Some people like, I think, Superman 3.
There was Superman Returns, which had Kevin Spacey in it, which was, like, that's a movie we could talk about because, like, wow, Kevin Spacey as... And I know we're not supposed to like Kevin Spacey right now, but regardless of what he's done recently, Kevin Spacey gave an incredible performance as Lex Luthor in a really bad movie.
Yeah, I agree.
So like that's I think I'm gonna stick with my statement. Like this is why it's a 5 for me. Is because it is just it's not bad, it's not good. It just is. Like I'm not gonna give it a 6 because like a 6 is favorable. I'm not gonna give it a 4 because a 4 is unfavorable.
Right.
Like this is this 11-point scale we have.
Wouldn't that make it a 5.5?
No. I'm including 0.
Oh, okay.
For 5 is right and smack dab in the middle.
Gotcha.
So I'm including 0. Like it could be a 0. Like, there are movies that are a 0. Almost as many people don't remember this movie happened as don't remember The Incredible Hulk.
Oh, I disagree with that. People don't remember The Incredible Hulk. You talk about The Incredible Hulk with people who like Marvel movies, and they're like, yeah, but I mean, that one's not. It doesn't count.
So, like, you talk about to your general person, and you're like, do you remember Thor the Dark World? And they're like, who? And it sucks because it came between Iron Man 3, which was, like, the flagship franchise, and Captain America, which was the fan favorite. So it's kind of stuck in the middle there, just like, what do we do?
What are we going to do here? And they've... Yeah.
And you know what? They did it. They fixed it because we do live in I can't not say this. We do live in a time where Thor Ragnarok exists, and it was amazing.
So let's go ahead and wrap this up then.
So I'm gonna stick with it's a stack of flapjacks.
Yep. Stack of flapjacks. I'll stick with that. That works.
Thanks, guys, for listening to another episode of Bacon and Eggs. I'm sure you came to this after a loud beeping noise or like a whoop, but thank you for listening. Regardless, I hope you guys have a wonderful Thursday or whatever day you're listening to this on. But over here at Bacon and Eggs, every day is Thursday.
That's right.
You can find both Tyler and I on Twitter. I am at WowNow, and the zeros are O's. O's are zeros. And I'm also on Instagram as that. And Ty is at AmeriCarlin.
Yes, for the next month and a half, I will be Festivity.
Sled Hills.
Very fun
And you can also tweet us directly at BaconandEggs23.
We will get all of your tweets there because we literally have nobody following us, and we know everything that happens.
But we only follow 2 people.
Correct. Additionally, you can reach out to us on email at baconandeggsmedia@gmail.com.
And if you want to get in contact with Vashaun Brandon, who designed our logo and all of our promotional materials, you can message us for his email address.
We'd be happy to oblige and get that for you.
I hope you guys had a wonderful Thursday. I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode. Please go rate and review on iTunes and all the other apps that you use because it really helps us out a lot. Thank you so much. And until next time, arrivederci.
Rose by any other name would smell as sweet. Hey, Ethan, what is it that people never say to you?
Thank God this one is short.